Let's see which one. Hey Siri, set a timer for 3 hours.
3 hours, counting down.
Alright. Hopefully, we get through the full 3 hours. Oh, I didn't mean to hit that. God.
Got my registration.
Nice. Don't say any personal information. The camera is on.
We just have to get through this
Okay.
season, and then we get to watch a movie. We get to watch a movie before going back to another.
This has truly felt like the most work we've had to do to just
Figure out how to go about it.
Yeah. Well, it's been a ride, but like it's just like I just want to know what's going on in this new phase.
Yeah.
And all it is just constantly just like
They all felt very similar.
Yeah. And the TV is, it's just like I've also heard a lot of good things about it.
Loki's the one that I feel like has been gassed up the most.
It's that, and apparently this will help us understand Deadpool Wolverine even more.
Yeah, we need to go
So,
okay.
and we haven't seen it in years at this point. We have the MCU info that we didn't have before.
Did we order that Deadpool?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. Not yet.
Loki!
I'm Rob. How you doing? I'm Sean.
I'm there.
Oh, bro, are we?
Is this right during the
Oh,
match?
shit!
Yeah, this is Avengers 1. This is awesome already. I was like, what is happening?
Let me say, man.
Same. Whoops.
Well, it must be fate now.
Bro is really pissed about the stairs.
All right, and
Oh,
Bodies.
oh, I like that. So we just pick it up from 2012. Like we're gonna get to see him green.
green. Super green. Bro, we're gonna get to vote for Obama again.
Damn, you're right.
The beetle.
That little homie's making a journey right there.
Good luck. Goddamn Mongolians.
Goddamn Mongolian.
Just hearing his voice. Oh yeah, I can't do that voice. That would be racist.
I think you should do it anyway.
Show it to the man, Sean. Show them their true colors.
It's only for when the cameras are off. I'd be like, what the? Goddamn Mongolians. If at any point Loki says that, I would lose my mind.
I'm Loki. Goodbye, Scott.
Hey man, that's cool. Yeah.
The door.
Hey man. Oh.
Whoa.
Yeah. Variant?
Dude, it's a time people. Dude, it's the nutsacks from
Bro, it is from Rick and Morty.
Yo!
It's the time police.
Oh my god, is that where that is from? That was the photo we did? That shit? Is that why?
have done it first, dude.
Did they?
Yeah. Oh yeah. This show only came out a couple of years ago.
Oh.
Rick and Morty season 2 was like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, what? What is happening? He's getting his ass beat in slow motion. Oh wow, that would suck. Alright, we're going to take you to your glorious purpose. She almost looked like she didn't know what the Tesseract was.
You know, dude, if you could time travel, I don't think you care.
Yeah, true. Nah, I feel like they would know. I wanted to see what it looked like if the timeline got reset. I'm sorry, it's just an ugly ass designed ass room.
That also means that the way that everything happened with the Avengers and all that was meant to happen.
Yeah. Damn.
Again.
Bro, she created a respawn point?
Yep, he's just locked in a loop.
This is giving me control vibes. Yeah, no, I'd let her put her collar on me, dude. It's all good.
Oh my god. What was he in?
He was in Tacoma FD, I know, and several other things.
Not what I know him from.
He also was in a Key and Peele sketch where they wanted Atlas A in their D&D game.
Not that either.
Wait, that's not an elevator? I am Loki.
It's Codsworth. What?
Oh my god.
Give me your dick.
It's Karen.
Oh. I'm sorry, what now? Oh, shit!
It's
Wow.
What?
God damn it.
He said, sir, we can be here all day. Possibly eternity.
How long do you think that took?
to sign all of it.
Oh, it was
And he's gonna drop.
You know what? I think if people had to sign every time they said something, there'd be a lot less dumb shit said. Nah, dude, there would be a legit fear, right?
This is a photo booth.
It's like Westworld.
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, bro, you're old.
Take it, take it.
Was this Deli? But actually, I thought we're going to do these things when I'm the only person there.
It just, I just. Uh-oh.
The voice is
This has got to go based off of
Yeah, but that time is dictated on what they pay them. It's not actually the time. That's the whole purpose of it. Nah, timekeepers are bad people. weird seeing him with like gray hair.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bart. Can you please leave?
In French.
The French.
Cool.
Good day.
Aren't you
Cool. Uh-oh. Who came in, took her gun,
And
sent her
there's
on.
one. Is that a case?
Confused?
Absolutely not with everyone else. You see, I only came into possession of the testament because they traveled through time.
We're not here to talk about the event. What they did was supposed to happen. You escaping was not.
He's like, wait, what? Wait. He's like, but it was right there. You expect me to not touch it?
Dictate the proper flow of time according to their dictations. How do you please?
Even more confused.
Wait, so she dictates the dictation?
Yeah, she's a dictator. Oh, that's embarrassing. Dude, or they can't believe it. And, you know,
The court finds you guilty and assents you
Yeah.
to the next case, please.
okay.
It's not your story, Mr. Laboratory, whatever it was.
They said you're not the main character.
You're a side character.
You're an NPC, Loki.
He's thinking what she thinks he's thinking.
I'm your friend. Dude, that background is crazy. That's science, baby.
Bunch of Amazon trucks.
Zero trees.
Yep. Not one.
Red flag.
Dude, it just keeps going.
Mobius? Slow Mobius. He's like, you know what? Fair enough.
I mean, bro, like, imagine being in this position where you're like, this is happening. I live in whatever confine choose. Dude, this is just like literally so many kids actually like, it's a simulation, dog.
It also thinks free will is not real.
Yeah.
Yep.
You are predestined to be where you're at.
Specializing in two dangerous ways.
So they got my TV.
It's like Diet Coke.
It's right there. Should you return, what are you gonna do?
I feel like glorious darkness.
Now you're the king of Midgard, then what?
The kid just space.
Makes you sound super smart.
That's a really good computer. Not there.
See,
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh, that's so clean, dude.
presuming born to rule, surely rules are four things that eternally so
Oh. No.
Look at that smile. You are enjoying that. I don't see anything very useful this
this saying he was D.B. Cooper?
I think so.
Oh my god, bro.
He is Duke B.B. Cooper.
Yeah, but sometimes we just think shit's funny. Bro, that was so annoying. Sit back in your cage. He's not trying to hang up on somebody on a cell phone. You just ain't the same.
All I see is a deeper understanding.
Because I'm the youngest sibling.
What makes Loki? Your choices are good. Let's go with that. Honesty of perspective. Footnote from my side.
You sure about that?
Got the Tesseract. You would have been taken to a cell on Astro. Make this worse. Is this?
Yeah, so he's showing him what should have happened. Yeah.
Well, because he became a,
Yeah.
Ask me the whole night how it's all meant to be.
He looks like he's gonna show her dad.
And then the Dark Elves attack Alex. And I think you send them to Florida.
damn Loki, piece of shit.
Do you enjoy still? I'll tell you. What, like you did your mother?
Holy shit!
Dude, don't break the TV.
Oh damn, in their trailer.
Yeah, now you get over to sit.
Bro, I know you noticed the Velcro shoes.
It's just like
Also, the others can achieve their best versions of themselves.
Yeah, that sucks. Bro, you were literally made just to be somebody else's stepping stone.
Yep.
What are you doing?
Good job.
Yeah, situation.
It's getting good.
He take the receiver.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting. Yeah, there's no way that they keep him locked up like this whole time.
Like everyone should do that. I'm getting good stuff in there. Hey, look, I think we can finish up tomorrow and just pick it up.
Oops. It does make me wonder though, is this like the plan the whole time for them?
Good question.
No burning, no resetting. You're still alpha. I know. Give me the Tesseract or I'll gut you like a fish, Casey.
Wow.
What's
What's
his
a
face?
fish?
I want to know exactly what I'm being threatened with before I comply. Death.
Fine. What other ones were in that drawer?
No way.
Wait, are all of them there? Wait.
What?
We actually had a lot of those. Yeah. Some other guys use them as paper.
What?
Wow.
Dude. Dude.
That really makes you feel small, doesn't it? Everything you've been fighting for this whole time.
So many different ones when there's only supposed to be one, two.
And they're just using them as paperweights.
Yep.
And now I think the realization
Yeah.
is just set in, like, dude.
Our
Like,
world
how
is
many-
small. And,
How many
yeah.
people died for that? Like,
Yeah, I mean, that was the time stone he was like holding, right?
Yeah.
That, you know. And there's multiple in there too. So you good, dude?
Is this the greatest power in the universe?
Bureaucracy.
A TV with a line.
he's like, screw it, I'm gonna rule this place.
Oh, dude, I
I
thought.
thought he was,
Yeah.
she was just gonna do it.
This was a little bit wider.
Yo, valid.
If that's the one place they would never look is where he
Back in the office,
right?
yeah. Yeah, true.
I was here the whole time, what do you mean?
Oh, bro, can just run through the whole thing.
So you left Mr. Fuzzy on the plane?
Well, I think we all left Mr. Fuzzy. Yeah, that one messed him up a little bit. I feel like that was kind of his turning point where he started to not be such a.
Love you, my sons. Never returns.
The Stones.
Yeah. I mean, bro, imagine watching your death.
It would be awful.
obviously by him getting the Tesseract and trying to leave, he never ends up in that position. But that's just where he dies.
It's so funny. Oh.
Yo, whoop his ass, dude. Oh shit.
Snap. Said Uno reverse.
Uh-oh, where'd that put her? I don't know. Is she about to punch the absolute?
Yeah.
Stop.
Oh god.
Oh my
Oh,
god, that
bro.
one's so sick.
Oh god.
You got away.
So yeah, tell me about it. I had no idea.
Okay.
What? Is that a pruning stick? It looks like a pruning stick.
I can't confirm. I don't enjoy hurting people. I do it because I have to. You do know yourself. Try to use that? Oh, several times. For your salvation. Maybe I can offer you something better.
A job?
You need the God of Mystic to help you something.
I mean, why not?
I mean, very
Question.
unlikely.
You.
Oh!
Loki's hunting himself?
Another Loki?
Loki hunting Loki?
Another time.
Loki's in Oklahoma?
In 1858?
That's a weird place to be.
That's what Taylor Swift wants to do without the racists.
Just throw it, let's bail.
Wait.
That's scary. Loki, creepy. Oh, they did mention oil. Oh my god.
Did
Holy
he set them
shit.
all on fire?
Dude.
So what is he doing? Oh, that was sick. Okay.
Oh damn.
And of
Nah, I'm about this,
No,
dude.
alright, no, I like the direction they're going.
I was
here.
wondering, I was like, why would they bring a Loki? Why would they bring Loki into this? No, it makes sense. Loki hunting Loki.
I'm kind of about
It's also
Loki
kind of
being Loki.
It's also kind of wild to think like how much acting Tom Hiddleston has to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro's also DB Cooper. I love that.
He was also Bradley Cooper. Yeah.
I like that we're getting more about the multiverse stuff because it is such a factor.
Yeah.
And I feel like it also like would allow them to cleanly reset, like kind of like how we had Flashpoint when we did DC, right? Like they could do a thing where it's like the sacred timeline is no longer needed.
It kind of seems that way. The fact that they're maintaining just a timeline dictated by the time people is a little interesting to me.
Yeah. I don't. I,
Kind of like, I don't know, like kind of with Doctor Who, where it's like, yeah, you can time travel, but you do not mess with the timeline.
yeah, canon event. Well, you can't mess with like events set in time, right? There, it's like keyframes,
Yeah.
kind of like stuff may ebb and flow between
Yeah.
those moments, but like those moments have to
It's a
happen.
canon event.
If they die, they have to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's meant to happen.
I wonder if this is how the comics went. Let's watch the
Yeah.
next time.
Right.
Kind of all of your pockets.
Yep, I think I've checked them all.
Oh, I got it. You only have like 80 pockets.
That's so he can hold all the things.
Man things.
Man
pockets.
stuff.
Yeah, man pockets.
Women are allergic.
Exactly. That's why your pants have no pockets. It's the only logical explanation.
Gosh, Wisconsin.
Who wants to be in Wisconsin?
Literally nobody.
Wisconsinites?
What, all four of them?
Wisconsinians?
This is the entire state right here.
Yeah.
Hey, I was stocking the Green Bay Packers.
Ooh.
What's going on? You guys aren't dressed right.
Let's move. It's the little pony.
Yeah, like if you showed up to like a Renaissance fair dressed like that, would they kick you out? Probably not, but then again, you're one of the folks that does that. Which just yeah. You're not clever. You're just a bit of a. I'm more just curious, like if they would remove it. You gotta leave.
No, they would just.
You need to leave.
I'm gonna laugh. This is just part of the Renaissance fair. Oh no, it's not.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Here we
dude.
go.
Dude. This scene in Shrek is like one of my favorites ever.
Yeah.
I played with my kids the other day to try to get her into the movie. I was like, oh,
fun.
Might be one of the best songs.
Alright, let's split up.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Every fight scene.
Yeah,
It's just like,
I agree. I do like this, especially with it like signifying like multiverse and different timelines. Yeah, no, it's always kind of like when you see the logo.
I thought about that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
No, you're right.
Come on, Loki. What is it?
That'd be sick.
And that will lead to the destruction of the Earth.
You recorded. Is that my jet ski? I didn't know they had a jet ski. Bro, he just works for them now.
Put it on.
This is crazy.
Huggies front blow up blocker versus chocolate syrup. Will it blow out? Ta-da! Huggies Little Snuggles, the only leading brand with a front and back blow up blocker.
The trailer for my new film, The Breadwinner, starts now.
Mom?
I'm more curious about that little penny, because he's asking the right question. Is that thing alive? I think it's a clock. Clock. It's a clock.
Yeah, it was as bad as I was kind of a penny too. It kind of looked like a penny. You know what? You guys are alright.
Hell yeah.
Alright. The clock makes way more sense.
Yeah, 100%. Clock. Well, the one you said it, I was like, makes sense. But hear me out, it looks like a penny. Oh, wow. That's nice.
I can kick my son.
I don't want anybody out there to forget what you are.
They're familiar with because the TVA is pulling a lot of these guys. And there's more than one of them.
What?
Powers over power stealing, food, shape shifting, illusion.
What the?
You said, oh, am I spitting on this video?
Right. Noted. We're gonna break into two teams, including myself and
Sick. I don't need to talk shit about my powers, man.
this level of variance. We have none of the family. Let's bring in the next one.
Bro, imagine you have to find yourself. That would be trippy. Keep that focus.
I feel like every time we've been like, yeah, Loki's not gonna screw them over, he screws them over.
Yeah, that's kind of who he is.
Watch any training videos you're supposed to. I mean, look, it's that.
Dude, the tie being cut like that, I don't know. Oh, what, like flat bottom tie?
Yeah.
I used to wear one of those. I'm like,
Watch the video.
What if he like accidentally?
yeah, like keep that stick off until it's time. Stick away from me.
And Loki couldn't have gotten the job. Hurry up, because we're 3 units below red alert.
You leave this tent with that up like that. Which is why you open the one wolf's mouth off of
Time to go.
different track. Waiting for you outside the tent.
Almost 1 unit.
And you might be believed together, even though you're trying to move TVA.
There's no one gonna be outside the fence.
I would be right.
Just try and get, there's no one out there.
Now I kind of hope there is. He did. You started overselling it towards the end, bud. Time juice. That's wild. She's got time grenades.
Time name.
It just
Are those the 3 dudes?
You're not the only analyst who keep going. Let's talk about the one you just watched.
Ooh.
Dangerous fairy into the fields.
understanding this Loki helps me get closer to the riches.
I think that's valid logic.
How are you there?
Every aspect of this case. In that area.
That feels like bullshit, right? Or like they won't give Loki a meeting with him. He's never met them. Yeah. I'm calling it. Penny is the timekeeper.
Mobies, you really believe in this fairy?
Hey, if it doesn't work, you really wonder what happened out in the
I don't think he is.
Uh-huh.
We expect. But it's just shut up, please.
work every day. I don't like looking at that.
Nope,
I don't either.
Me either.
hurts my eyes.
Clean up the shit they pull in Naruto.
They're all pushing their hands.
Didn't Doctor Strange do that shit?
I mean, part of this, but I'm thinking it's really worse. Now let's see in the winter.
Uh-oh.
Now there's nothing like being shushed. You don't shush me, I shush you.
This is so quiet.
I like all files pertaining to the creation of people. Okay, I like all files pertaining to the beginning of time.
There's a classic.
No.
Look, I hate this.
Yeah, he's literally gonna get like a couple. Everything else is classified. Class 7 apocalypse.
Holy shit. I remember they escaped on that ship
Yeah.
and the dude was fighting shell off.
This is trying to eat.
Right? Just trying to get lunch. We commit.
You see our heads go.
Someone does something they're not supposed to. Like, your turn.
He's eating his salad. It's fun, man. It wasn't that big.
Everything and everyone is destined to end. There's nothing that I say or do or not.
Okay.
It's there. To be hiding in the apocalypse and do whatever you want.
But how did you hide in the pocket?
You can run away back here and then taking you for a stroll along the promenade.
He's in the pocket. Bro, let's do the pocket.
Yeah, okay.
Every moment of your entire life, you've literally stabbed people in the back like this. Really kidding? Go home.
I'm bored now.
That is definitely accurate.
Hey.
Yeah, it's like you get called Pompeii. No, I think Pompeii's happening. He's just proving his theory.
Sorry.
It's crazy to me that they can travel through time but can't make themselves invisible. I know. I hope this is just chaos. We just go from apocalypse to apocalypse to apocalypse to Loki, causing problems with everyone. Be free. That's really bad at the job.
Subtitles?
It's a different language, so they don't give a shit about it. You see, I told you.
Are you gonna look at the screen?
Yeah, this is short anyway.
Damn.
There's been a decent amount of them, I would assume. We could time travel. Go back and see some apocalypses. Sure. Why not? Kind of wild. You got apocalypses, you got 5 extinction events, there's different stuff to go look at, man.
I can back down the code. And then get out, and then travel away before the meteor hit.
Unquestionably, it's Jet Ski magazine.
Fair enough.
expensive.
That, and if you use them, you get something great for that. They just keep costing you more and more.
Really, really good.
I told you not. Like,
Yeah.
you know, there's a time travel and like, I don't know. It's not a simulation anyway. Sounds like a cult.
Believe it's no such thing as free. It's really, it's actually free. It's a walking fire. No, it's like
Just build new King's Landing like the guy from House of Dragon.
Right.
boring. I'm sure it was to you. You know, you could be as scared as a boy. Could you imagine? You know better. Good.
He's fucked this man's whole belief system. Moving forward to
Because there are 5 AM flights in your area, there are drivers in your area.
Oh. Oh, this is a long one. Hmm.
It is.
I mean,
And it didn't even try.
how did that work? I didn't think that was gonna work.
Oh yeah.
Is that a thing? No, actually, so no, you go ahead, play.
Yeah, you
so,
can- yeah,
so,
you can
that's
explore
why-
it.
so in the 1950s, China had this thing called like the World Health Program, where they actively were trying to get rid of flies, rats, swallows, mosquitoes. So
They tried to get rid of them?
yeah. Well, no, what it was is there's just a lot of them, and yeah, they can possibly cause disease, swallow, possibly sparrows. Anyway, the whole thing still stands to where it's like when you take something like that out of the ecosystem, it has like this entirely huge effect, way more than you think it does. So when they did this forecast program, it was like one of those to where it didn't seem like it was a very big deal because like who wouldn't want to get rid of mosquitoes and rats and blah blah blah. But when they got rid of birds, the birds eat locusts. And
Yeah.
locusts eat crops. And that's where like the Chinese famine of the 50s comes from. Yeah,
that's
when they
great.
started killing all the birds, it had this drastic effect on the ecosystem because there was no longer birds there to kill the locusts. So locusts ate all the crops and like tons of them.
Well, these are scary.
They are. Yeah, crazy ass creatures.
It's versus the seeds, right? For the crops to begin.
Yeah. That's right. Alabama.
Oh no, put your gun down. Oh my god.
This is all based on theory.
None about you.
Bro, if you ain't right about this, yeah, he is really sticking his neck out.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Now go before she changes her mind.
So we think Loki is playing a longer game here. Yeah, even when he seems like he isn't, he is. He's worked something out with the penguin, right?
Dude. Gotta make it look.
No, I can't blame her there. Believe me, Emily, just take like sound clip and just randomly insert it all throughout the videos throughout the season. Every time it's requested by Loki, Alabama. Oh shit.
Well, that ain't good. It's kind of crazy. We're literally going to a hurricane.
Yeah, dude, that's a crazy looking hurricane. That's what hurricanes look like, bro.
That would be so funny.
Don't blame him there.
It is
stabbing her in the back.
Yeah. I got a feeling that time this time. You see him show.
Now I think he knows that because she doesn't trust him, he can play her.
Yeah. He's gonna be able to use that to his advantage.
Yo. Maybe 20 minutes until the building gets wiped out by the hurricane.
Where's the reset charge?
No kids say.
We're stuck.
Yes.
So
Oh.
well.
Usually.
You're the fool that TVA brought in to hunt me down. You're me.
Damn, bro. Knowing you like all these people are gonna die. Damn, that is true.
What property? Road transport? How the heck did you get here?
Damn, man. Like,
Something to do. What is it?
bang to time capsule.
They're cops.
I'm going to call your little friends for them. I'm doing it back to try the timekeepers.
An army of Lokis.
If there's a qualified, I assume you mean me. You can call me Randy.
Randy.
8 to 10 seconds of consideration. The answer is
Come on, Randy.
Oh, Randy. He's got integrity, apparently. It's like, nah, man, come on. Give us that Loki team up.
No. I gave it away. I gave it away. How to find it?
Oh.
That's not good.
Knock the out, sir. At least she survived. Could have been worse. Yo,
I'd say that makes me a superior looking here.
he really does love just being right.
Beautiful things. Right, right, son.
Oh! Yeah. Wow. Damn. You're throwing it around like it's nothing. Jesus. Uh-oh. That ain't good.
Okay.
Oh.
Cool.
What the hell? Hello? What's a girl Loki variant? Lady Loki? Okay. What the hell are you scheming, Lokia? Oh, yo.
Oh, that doesn't seem like a good idea.
Oh, shit.
That's bad.
Holy.
Holy shit, dude. Yo, she just 9/11 the timeline.
He's gonna go. He's gonna go.
Come on, go, 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 go. Oh, wow. Wow. That was awesome. No, I like that twist. I want to know. No, I like how much of a Marvel this show. Like this and the way that WandaVision are. Like,
Yeah.
I hope that most of the Marvel shows are just
I don't even know what that talk that was. I feel like that was so good. That was such a good episode.
No, I definitely understand why people are gassing the show up.
Why?
The next episode, the next episode's a heck of a film.
Oh wow.
Look, that's great.
Shucks.
That's very cool. Hey Billy, you make it to the end of the video. You know what that means? That means you're top tier Billy. You know what top tier Billy's do? Then go check out Sort of Stupid Crew on.
Absolute Batman and Absolute Wonder Woman finally meet each other. Thank God. Which, by the way, I am traveling, so I can't be my loud, crazy obnoxious self. But what this initially does is this picks up in Gateway City, specifically Veronica Cale having a conversation with Jack Grimm. Now, of course, as we know from Absolute Batman, Jack Grimm is the name or supposed name of Absolute Joker. Because if there's any one thing that we learned over the course of that story is that no one knows for sure what the Joker's story is. It's just what Alfred Pennyworth believes. It's something important to keep in mind when it comes to the Joker. But one of the things that happens is she talks about this idea of whether or not Absolute Wonder Woman had taken the bait, right, that had been left behind by Veronica Cale. Essentially, getting Absolute Wonder Woman to show up to the city of Gotham, right, by creating a kind of mark of Hecate within Gotham itself, or at least that seemed to be the case. And so that's what led Absolute Wonder Woman to Gotham and to encounter Batman in the first place. And that's what's kind of interesting here, because when Absolute Wonder Woman shows up, she basically conjures the bat signal, which is pretty dope. It looks really, really amazing, but the whole thing's conjured out of magic. And so when he arrives on the scene, Wonder Woman is immediately just kind of like, I heard that you were quiet, but they may need to invent a new word for what you are. It's especially impressive considering your size. Now, Batman figures out pretty quickly that Absolute Wonder Woman is not an enemy, and so that's when Batman asks, right, like, this bat symbol, is it made of magic? And she simply just says, yes, right, I didn't want to traipse around your city uninvited, but you are hard to find, and this seemed to be the best way. And she just introduces herself as Diana, and Bruce just says, I'm Batman. And then, of course, he's like, define magic. Now, here's the important thing to understand here in the Absolute Universe, particularly when it comes to Batman. If you haven't been keeping up with Absolute Batman, I don't know anybody who hasn't, but if you haven't been keeping up with Absolute Batman, he's a very stripped down, unpolished version of the Batman that we know in DC Comics. So he doesn't have the insane levels of intellect. He doesn't have all this experience in the world dealing with like supernatural forces and things like that. He's just the answer to the question, what would happen if just like a humongous construction worker decided to become a vigilante? Because that's what he is. He's a construction worker, right? So again, unpolished, doesn't have any other wealth. And so learning about this stuff for the first time from Diana is cool, because what it does is it kind of creates a bridge between the two of them, one teaching the other. And that's why she says advanced chemistry with unconventional intentions and unusual resources, which in a lot of ways just kind of defines Batman, if you think about it that way. And that's what she says, right? You hurl yourself from these skyscrapers with no fear, but you cannot fly. How did you learn to do that? And he just says, necessity. And that's where she says, a good answer. Because the reality here is that when it comes to the manipulation of magic, and in the case of Wonder Woman, being able to use magic, it really was out of necessity, right? Being like stuck in the underworld, the realm of hell, that kind of a thing, being raised by her mother Cersei, that magic is a form of survival in the same way that Batman does what he does, and it's a form of survival. And so that's why she tells him, right, I am not here by accident, I find I need your aid. And Bruce just says, I'll need more than that, right? That's not a good enough answer. And so, of course, Wonder Woman responds, and she says, I'm here about 4 recent murders. And Batman tells her, it's Gotham, right? 4 murders barely make the news these days. And she says, of course, but they are all connected by the symbol on my arm. It's called the Mark of Hecate, and a bloody version of it appeared at each of those crime scenes. Now, obviously, this is not my city, nor is detective work my strength, although I have a detective friend that helps with that kind of thing. And so Batman says, right, I saw her with you on the news. Everybody did. You should be careful with your exposure. You may be a god, but the people around you are not. And as we know, this is him speaking from experience, right? That Batman understands that there is a price to be paid by bringing your friends into your vigilante antics, right? What was the price that he paid? Absolute Penguin, Absolute Riddler, right? Absolute Two-Face, Absolute Killer Croc. These are his friends who had basically been destroyed in some ways physically and in pretty much every way emotionally and mentally, right? I mean, these guys were destroyed by Bane or by Arkham. So Batman knows that if you don't create a circumstance where your friends are kept out of the crossfire, right, out of the line of fire of your enemies, they will go after them. And that's an important lesson that Diana hasn't quite learned yet. She hasn't really experienced what it means to see her friends destroyed at the hands of her enemies. Undoubtedly she will, but she says, right, I'm afraid that bell has rung for me. I cannot go back into the shadows now. And so Batman asked her, would you, if you could? And she says, I think not. Right? Love is transformative, and I don't know how to show that to people without living it. And so that's what Bruce just says, and I guess we all have our own paths. And he says, though, I think my father would have liked yours. Now, I don't know if that really goes towards the idea that, like, he truly wants to shift his direction and become a bat of love, you know, that kind of thing. The love bat of Gotham City, right? Sharing his kindness with the world. I don't know if that's what he's shooting for. But what I do think is important here is the idea that Batman has seen how dark it can get, but he hasn't quite seen how good it can get. level wants to experience that, right? And so that's why Wonder Woman just says that I will take that as the compliment that it is. But you should know I am no god. And she asks, are you? And Batman says, a god? Of course I am. I'm Batman. No, he says, of course I'm not. Right? I am not a god at all. And she's like, excellent. And he's kind of like shocked by the idea, right? Like, I mean, is there an issue with the fact that I'm not a god? And Wonder Woman just said, right, my mother was sure that you were a bat god when she saw you in her strong pool. You made a bet about it. I will need some kind of proof, right, to basically show that I won that bet. Which I think is kind of funny, right? Like making bets on whether or not Batman is a god. But of course she says, Cersei does hate to pay up on a bet. She's forever finding some angle. She's absolutely diabolical. And that's when Wonder Woman says, I almost forgot, right? Forgive my manners. I was raised in hell, though that is no excuse. And where Batman asks her what it is that she's presenting him with, she says, it's a gift. Hospitality is a big deal in Greek culture. And Batman just kind of says, you know, like, I thought you were raised in hell. But she says, well, the underworld is more accurate. But a person can be more than one thing. Surely you of all people understand this. And so Batman asks, what is this? And this is an amazing callback to Greg Rucka's Wonder Woman 1, because she says it's an enchanted talisman of Hecate. And she says, it's my own twist on Hikatea. If you touch this with your bare skin and demand an audience with Diana of the Wild Isle, if I am on this plane of existence, I will come to your aid. And Batman just asks, seriously? And she's like, it's powerful magic, like mine, my mother's, and that of Hecate herself. Now, here's an important thing. This is the reason why it's a callback. How many of you guys, I don't know how many of you guys actually read it. We did cover it, but there's a story called Wonder Woman Hikatea. It's a phenomenal story. It's arguably one of the greatest Wonder Woman stories ever written. It was written by Greg Rucka. The idea behind it, and to kind of sidetrack from the story for a second, because you're going to love this, the idea behind it is that a woman shows up on the doorstep of Wonder Woman swearing a vow of Hikatea. And because of how Hikatea works, Wonder Woman has to take care of her. She has to provide her a home. She has to feed her, clothe her, that kind of a thing. Treat her with a humble nature. But the woman cannot take advantage of her. Right? She can't stay like indefinitely. She has to respect the offerings of Wonder Woman, but then leave when that need is satisfied, when her reason for, asking for that vow has been satisfied. And if either one of them violate the honor of the other during the vow of Hikatea, the fates will kill them, and they would kill Wonder Woman. And what you end up learning is the woman showed up on the doorstep of Diana because she was fleeing Gotham after having murdered the man who had basically forced her sister into like prostitution, and Batman's trying to track her down. And so when Batman shows up on the doorstep of Wonder Woman tells him, this woman's under my protection, and then Wonder Woman beats the hell out of Batman and throws him out of her apartment. So it's a phenomenal story. It's an incredible story, and that's just the tip of it. Right? That's just one part of it. It's a general gist, but that's one part of it. So that's why it's a great callback to that idea, right? The kind of bond that connects them as far as magic is concerned. And so after that, Wonder Woman asks, would you mind escorting me to the most recent crime scene so that I may examine it? Which, of course, Batman does. Now, this is when you get to something really, really cool, and it's a potential teaser for what may be coming down the pipe when it comes to Absolute Batman. Because what you end up doing is you end up going several miles outside the city of Gotham. And anybody who knows anything about the Batman mythos immediately knows what we're talking about here. But as they get out there, right, Batman says it's best to go on foot from here, although you could still fly. And of course, Wonder Woman's just like, walking's fine, I suppose. And she says, this swamp teeters with power. What is its name? And Batman says, Slaughter Swamp. And she says, subtle, right? And that's where Batman says, we're not known for our subtlety in Gotham. Now, why is Slaughter Swamp an important place? Slaughter Swamp is an important place because of the magical properties that are contained there, but because it's also the foundation and the basis for one of Batman's most notable villains. One of the biggest villains, honestly, in the DC universe, which is Solomon Grundy.
Sorry. Scotland 1000 toilet paper helps prevent clogs by dissolving 10 times faster in water.
Right? Like, it's cool. So imagine what, like, absolute Solomon Grundy is going to look like now that we have, like, Slaughter Swamp. I mean, it would be like introducing the concept of the green in the absolute universe, but then never invoking Swamp Thing. You know what I mean? Like, of course it has to happen. At least I would hope it does. But, kind of continuing on here, Wonder Woman says, this is so remote. How was this crime scene even discovered? And Batman just says, an anonymous tip, which in and of itself seems suspicious. And he says, I have been busy, which of course refers to the whole Absolute Bane storyline. And he says, I only saw the reports, but from what I did see, this crime scene and the others connected to it, they did not add up. It pointed to something bigger. And so Wonder Woman, of course, ends up conjuring some magic. And when she does, as they make their way through here, right, like, Batman kind of looks around at just this bloody crime scene. And he's like, your goddess Hecate loves blood. And one woman just says, all gods do, as does magic. It's fundamental. And she says, I see you're too polite to ask. I mostly use my own blood for my magic. It's freely available, and it's incredibly powerful. And she says, magic was done here, but I don't think it was in honor of Hecate. And so Batman just says, explain. And she says, if they were true disciples, there would have been 3 candles on the symbol, or perhaps 6 or 9. And Batman, of course, recognizes that it's multiples of 3, and she says she's a triple goddess, so it's a key member in her worship. Quite frankly, if there was going to be more than one bloody symbol of her mark in this room, that's where Batman says there would have been 3. And she says, exactly. And when Batman says, I don't know about magic, and looking around, he just kind of says, all this looks staged. Like, it looks like it was just set up. And Wonder Woman agrees with it, where she says to a disciple, some of these ingredients are wrong. Also, this killing was 2 days ago, correct? And Batman says yes. And she says, then the moon was in the wrong position. A witch could do this, right? This spell and cast it all, of course, but a disciple would wait for a more favorable position. And so she asked the question, right, were there any organs missing from the body that they found? And Batman says yes, and she points out, right, a liver, and then figures out that, like, lungs, a heart, maybe a stomach, all these things have been taken from the body here. And Batman asks, right, like, what do they need all this for? Like, how have you figured this out? And she says, I think someone is trying to build a magically constructed form, like a homunculus or a golem, a powerful figure that could be remotely controlled. But why the ruse? Right? Why pretend that it's Hecate when it's not? And that's where Batman just says, I don't know, maybe it's to, like, draw you in for a trap, right? For you or for me or something like that. This conversation here, and it's something that I hope you're picking up here, this conversation here is not like a conversation you would expect from, like, a Batman and Wonder Woman conversation in the main DC universe. Batman would have clearly had it all figured out. He would have known exactly what's going on, and it wouldn't have been, like, maybe to draw you into a trap. He would have been like, it's definitely to draw you into a trap. That's what's going on here. It's a trap for you, it's a trap for me. Here's the person most likely doing it because I found this hair follicle, and I pulled out this hair follicle examiner from, like, my back utility belt as I was studying it while you were looking around, and now I know who's behind all this. Let's go get him. And, like, that's it, right? That's exactly how a Batman story would have unfolded in these years. But I love the fact that it's so unpolished, right? And it's so basic. Right? You basically have 2 people who are incredibly capable in their own right, meeting for the first time, but they also feel so, like, real world, if that makes any sense. Hopefully it makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense at all. But the fact is, right, that in this conversation that they have, when Batman identifies the possibility that it might be a trap, Wonder Woman just says, perhaps, right, would it be possible to see the other sites? And at that point, Batman's like, I mean, we could, but look, here's the thing, right? Like, we should be more proactive, right? I found something in the case files that I think points to an abandoned church with a strange clock tower across the swamp. I say that we start there. And she's like, well, then just lead the way. And so when they get in there, the place is occupied, right? It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be an abandoned church, but the whole place is occupied. And that's where Wonder Woman says, do you mind being carried briefly, right? We could just cut to the end of the line violently. And Batman's just like, I like the violent part. And so when they get in there, there's like this whole huge kind of like seance type thing that's being done there, right? Clearly dark magic is being practiced here. And that's where Batman says they're in some kind of altered state. They didn't even blink when we busted through the window. And that's where he goes to investigate, and Wonder Woman tells him, like, don't cross the barrier. But ultimately, he does, and essentially falls into it along with Wonder Woman when she grabs him to try to stop him. And so now that they're trapped inside, she's like, well, I mean, we're in now, right? Like, the circle's broken. And Batman asks, like, can we try to leave? And she's like, no, right? We can try, but it will be
I
like
know I have some more eyebrow hair
right? And she says, the construct looks strange, unfinished. And Batman thinks initially that it's good news, because whatever it is they're trying to create, it cannot be recreated. And she's like, maybe, unless they're not trying to build a construct, that what they're trying to do is control them. And that's where things get really interesting here. Because one of the things we end up doing, and this goes into kind of the crazy mythos of Wonder Woman over the years, you jump back to Veronica Cale and the conversation that she's having with Absolute Joker. And she says that you're the one who gave me the idea for this whole thing. And he says, really? And she's like, no, really dumb. You are better than that. And that's where she asks, like, were you manipulating me in everything you said? Now, we don't know exactly what he told her, but we find out here in a second. Right? And he says, well, yeah, was it manipulation or just putting you to the convenient truth? And Joker says, also, since you didn't share the specifics of your plan, I'm not even sure which truth we are talking about. And Veronica Cale says, of course you are. And that's where he says, oh, the thing about the Amazon, the story of this great and miraculous child, the last Amazon, the one that some myths claim is made of clay. And she says, yes, that one. And that's where Joker says, and if she's made of clay, and Veronica finishes the statement, she's nothing more than a fancy golem. So quite literally, this goes into the origin story that Wonder Woman is made of clay by Zeus. And so it's not like she's the biological child of Zeus and Hippolyta. No, she was created from clay. And it's kind of cool that they're sticking with that origin, because that's when she starts to figure out they're controlling me. And in that moment, she looks to Batman and just says run. And of course, as you guys know from Bruce Wayne, you ain't got to tell him twice, because this dude boasts for like, he immediately takes off running towards the clock, right? He's getting out of there as fast as he can. The whole time, like, absolute Wonder Woman just starts like spouting off with these crazy spells. And Batman has no clue what's happening here. And it's actually kind of hilarious, to be honest with you. But the reason why she's passing these spells is she says, I have to help him before I fully lose control. Deleting my magic arm
I guess I'm done.
may be the best that I can do. So
My bad.